Hello, everybody. This is Karl. Thanks for being here. I got to make sure I'm looking at the right clock, that it's 10 o'clock. I appreciate everybody who shows up today, and we're going to get started here in just a minute. I do have to say, if you haven't seen the book Anarchy, Inc. by Patrick Schwarzenegger, you should absolutely look it up. It's a great book that came out earlier this year, and Patrick talks about looking into the future and some of the technologies that are coming very quickly and how we're moving into an era in which authority is very distributed, and so classic institutions of authority have less influence over time. And that, you know, we got some interesting times ahead of us. So it's a great business book, totally business focused, but lots of really great information. And in fact, I've got a slide or two from his stuff on the presentations I'm making at my roadshow this year. So anyway, so welcome to information webinar about the Small Biz Thoughts community. And this is a community that we're in pre-sales now, and the actual launch is going to be coming up very soon. So let's see here. I'm going to make sure we got at least 10 people logged on before we proceed. I do appreciate your showing up here, and I don't want to waste your time. So basically, the agenda today is that we're going to be presenting information, and then I'm going to take all your questions. So, and some of you who have seen my recent webinars know that I've had a few issues with questions. They never stop. So, you know, I'm going to try to finish this in half hour, 45 minutes, and then take questions. But if the questions keep coming, I'll keep answering them. I do want to say this is a public forum in the sense that when I take a question, I'm going to say, oh, John has a question, and then da-da-da-da, and I'll repeat the question. So if you have a name that you don't want me to say, then that's fine. You can just use a different handle. I'd rather you don't use anonymous, because if there's more than one of you, I won't know who it is, but make up a name. And I'll use that for that. So this is being recorded, and I will be rebroadcasting it. So if you don't want your name to be whatever, put out there in the universe, just make sure that when you ask a question that you use some kind of alias. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Karl Palachuk, and I'm the author of several books, including Managed Services in a Month, which is my favorite, I suppose, of all of the managed service books. My actual favorite of all books I've ever written is Relax, Focus, Succeed, which is a guide to balancing your personal and professional lives. And anyway, so if you are in the managed service business, you've probably heard of me. If you're on this call, you probably heard of me. But anyway, there's my stuff. So today, we're going to talk about this new community I've got going. And I was just on a call with a good friend of mine who was saying, you know, wow, there's so many communities. How do you stand out? What do you do so that you're just not another one of the 50 communities out there? And so we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about a couple of specific aspects, both the community as a community and the community as a place to share content. And then we'll do some questions and answers. So here's a few resources. I have a blog post from just a few days ago on the membership site, and it's a pretty long blog post. And then if you go to smbooks.net/sbt/community or -community-launch, that's where I've got some videos up there introducing the community. And I encourage you to go ahead and check those out. So I've been thinking about doing a community for years. And in fact, my mastermind group one of the mastermind groups that I participate in on a regular basis has been encouraging me. You have to do this. You have to do this, blah, blah, blah. And to be honest, I resisted for a long time because I wanted to make sure that there was enough content inside the community that it was absolutely worth the price of admission. And by content, I mean audio programs, video programs, trainings, recorded classes, book chapters, that sort of thing, white papers, the kind of stuff where people can look at it and say, this will help me with my business. And we did have an online community using the Zoom format in February, and I got some feedback from a lot of people and a lot of encouragement. And it started with content, and then I realized that we have such a strong need for a powerful community. There's lots of communities, and I belong to almost all of them. There's a great community with ASCII. There's a great community with CompTIA. There's a great community with Robin Robbins. There's a great community with the SMB Tech Fest and SMB Nation. There's lots of communities out there, and they all fill different roles. And, my focus is very much on helping people to be successful. At the end of the day, when people ask me at a barbecue or whatever, so what do you do? My answer is, word for word, I help IT consultants to be better at the business part of their business. And, then the conversation can go on from there. But I don't even need a 30-second elevator speech. I help IT consultants to be better at the business part of their business. So to that end, I write books, I do coaching, I do all these other things. And in the end, when I look at why I do what I do, I focus on the mostly, probably 90% of what I do is on the business side and not on the technical side. For the very simple reason that you can get the technology information anywhere, right? Think about it. If you want to know something about a Microsoft product, even though it's not open source, most of it, you go to Microsoft and you start looking around and you can find out every intercept, every tiny little thing, deep in the code, every little feature, every little function, best practices, how you implement it. The technical side is not difficult. On top of that, Microsoft probably runs 100 blogs, right? And then other people run blogs to educate you even further about, how you actually make this work in the real world and how you make it interact with this program and that feature and so forth. So there's no gap for me to fill with regard to technology. I do occasionally help people figure out things like TCP/IP and networking and whatever, but for the most part, there's lots of people giving you that information. And so what I help people with is, how do you get your money up front? How do you make sure that you have a profitable venture? And I'm seeing there's actually a bigger need for this now than there's ever been. People are turning to this thing called managed services, and they're somehow managing to not do it profitably. And I literally don't know how that's possible. Like when I look at it, I don't know, I'm a managed service savant or something. I can't run a managed service business that's not profitable. I keep getting sucked back in and starting another business because it's so easy to make money. And I think that it boils down to a handful of things that you have to do right. And I literally want to help everybody figure out what's the best way to do that. Some people have a very solid, clear goal that they want to stay small. They want to be 1, 2, 3 people. They want to have one owner and then a handful of 1099s. Other people have a goal that they want to reach the 750,000 mark, or they want to reach the 1 million in revenue, or they want to go from 1 to 2 or 2 to 5. And that's their goal. And all of those people can benefit from good business practices. The largest company that I've worked with in terms of coaching has been at the 5 million mark, trying to move up and to be honest, to move up to 10, but I work with lots and lots of people who are in the $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 range. And, a lot of people are in that and they're making money. They're just not making as much as they should, or they're not keeping as much as they should. And at the end of the day, it's not about what you make, it's about what you keep. I'm also a firm believer that if you're in small business, your business exists to fulfill your dreams. So back to relax, focus, succeed. First, you've got to figure out what you want to be, what you want your business to do. You want to figure out what your life is about. Is it your goal to put 5 kids through college? Is it your goal to buy a retirement house? Is it your goal to buy a new sports car or to fund a charity? Whatever goal you have for your business is not only legitimate, but it is right. It is good. You get to decide what your goals are. And if you're in big business, if you work for Intel or Microsoft or HP, your goal in that job as an employee is to make somebody else rich. That's it, right? If you work for a big company, you are fulfilling somebody else's goal. But if you're in a small company, your business exists to fulfill your goals. And money is one piece of that, but it's certainly not everything. If you see my trainings and so forth, one of the things I always harp on is you need to work with people you like. You need to have employees you like. You need to have vendors that you like and respect and you feel like you can do business with. I've had 3 major conversations with people in the last 24 hours about how we work together because we like each other. We trust each other. There's just a handful of people in this world that I literally would say, oh, you want to be a co-signer on my bank account? Sure, I'll let you do that. Right? But they're surprisingly people that I do lots and lots of business with that I 100% know and like and trust. So my business isn't built around only money. I'm a firm believer, especially in technology. You can make money doing anything. If you want to make $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year, you can do almost anything and do that. So you don't have to own a business and have the pressures of a business to make that kind of money. If you choose to be self-employed, if you choose to be in business, it needs to be about more than money. It needs to be about how you want to spend your time and how you want to spend your life and what dreams do you have and how is your business going to help you fulfill them. And if you are bogged down in your business because you're not making as much as you should, then you need to figure out how to make that more fulfilling, both financially and with regard to all of the elements of your life. So in the end, it comes down to building a community that goes beyond just the money piece of it. So when we look at the communities that are out there, and there are some really great communities, some of them want to be focused on big business. They just literally, when you fill out a form and they say, how big is your business? And the smallest category is 100 or fewer employees. Well, they have a different vision about what the small side of small and medium business is, right? I think most of the people, I'd have to go look at my stats, but I think most of the people who are in the SMB community that are on my mailing list have 10 or fewer employees. And certainly there are people with 25 employees and 50 employees and even 100 employees. But the majority of people are in that, range of probably 7 to 15. That would probably be the vast majority. And so I'm focused 100% on the SMB market. If you support, 1,000 1,000 machines at a hospital, great. You are welcome. I'll be happy to have you, but you're not my core focus. My core focus is small and medium businesses, serving small and medium businesses. So MSPs, managed service providers, and anybody who considers themselves a small and medium business IT professional, you're the audience that we're looking for. And especially people who are new to this profession, you may not have even heard of the term managed services. You may have gotten into this thinking, oh, I'm a computer consultant, and not know the history of what we now call managed services and how that evolved. So I need all those people to come in and be part of the community. And I think there needs to be a huge focus on professionalism and profit. There are a handful of groups that have grown up on Facebook and a little bit on LinkedIn, certainly on Reddit and some other platforms that are really focused on helping people get into this business, but not on professionalism, right? When you see a question where people are saying, hey, I'm charging $50 an hour. Does anybody know anybody who needs any computer help? Or people who say, you know, where can I buy refurbished equipment for my clients? Those are not people who get fundamentally that you need to be completely professional from A to Z, and you can do that in a small business environment, and there is money to be had. Part of it is you need to focus on clients who can afford you, right? If you're looking at people who themselves are making $100,000 a year, they don't have enough spare money to afford to hire an IT consultant, right? And so part of what I want to do is to pull people up and say, let us hold each other accountable. Let's hold each other to be far more professional and far more profitable. We absolutely can do this, but we can't do it if we're looking at the ground. We got to do it by looking up at the sky and saying, that's where we need to go. I also think that there's room for a community that is not completely wedded to vendors. There's so many communities that are really, really great, but they're vendor focused. And so, you know, they can't have a discussion of which PSA is best because the PSA vendors are on there giving them marketing dollars and they don't want to piss anybody off. I don't care who I piss off. If you guys want to discuss products, but not worry that the conversation is going to be steered in a different direction because there are product vendors who don't want to have that conversation take place, right? There needs to be a community where you can do that. I also think there's a need for a community that's highly interactive. You know, Facebook has turned out to be a very divisive place where people's interactions are very, very shallow. And what I'd like to do is to build a community where people participate at a very high level and talk amongst themselves, amongst friends, about how we are, you know, getting our finances straightened out and how we are running our business. And, you know, what are our best practices for growing from, you know, say 300,000 to 500,000 or from 500 to 1 million? You know, what are the best ways we can do this? And, you know, focus on that discussion and not just throw in a bunch of memes with cute cats, which are totally fine, but not what this community needs if it's going to help each other grow. I think we need to have coaches and people who are potential competitors to this community come into this community and participate. I think that, you know, at the end, I don't believe that there's any competition. Some of you have seen me give the presentation. I believe the concept of competition is irrelevant. I think that you can build any business you want, constitute it any way you want, and if you work at it, you will find people who want to do business your way. So let's talk about how we do that, and let's be interactive. I want to build a community where there are friendly conversations about how we compete with each other, friendly conversations about competition within our own community. You know, it wasn't so many years ago that people were connected into a series of Yahoo groups where hundreds of people participated every day and helped each other. And I remember there was a very famous incident where somebody had an issue and connected into the community and was literally passed from one Microsoft MVP to another as the sunlight worked its way around the globe. They were handed off from Los Angeles to Australia to Europe to New York, and helping people get their stuff done and helping solve problems. And I think we can do that again. I think we can get back there. Some of my favorite experiences in the world in the last 2 years have been traveling to lots and lots of different places and getting together with people, some of whom I've known for 10 years because they're inside the SMB community. But we no longer have a place where we can all get together and say, that's where we go to get together. That's where we go to get things done. That's where we go to meet people who help us improve our business. So here's what I don't want to do in this community. I don't want to sponsor 3-day events with 500 or 1,000 or 1,500 people in the room and multiple layers of access. There's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. I have gone to these events. I have been a member. I have paid to be there, but it's not what I want to do. I don't want to have this be a vendor-focused event, and I don't want you to feel like you're being sold to again and again and again. One of the discussions that came out of the February meeting was, do you have 1 tier or 2 tiers or 3 tiers? And finally decided just 1 tier, that you're either in or you're out. And those who commit to me, I'm going to commit to you. I guess it's a little bit like managed services in that regard. So, I just, again, had a conversation with somebody who said, we was talking about, oh, maybe we can do this or that together. And maybe in 2019, we'll have, we can put together an event. And he said, now I know you don't want to have vendors in the room, and, he knows that's kind of part of my brand, I guess, that, I want people to get value out of something without beholding to, oh, and now we're going to have lunch and a vendor's going to talk to you, right? I love the vendors. I participate with many vendors in introducing their products into this community, but I don't think that's what the community should fundamentally be focused on. So when I look at what you need, I ask people all the time. I've had phone conversations with several people this week about what do you need in your business? And the number one answer is I need more sales, or I need more leads, or I need more prospects. But lots of other people have issues with, well, I'm looking to hire my first tech, or I've got a whole bunch of techs and I'm growing without controlling my culture, right? There's all kinds of challenges that people have. But for those of you who are familiar with it, I wrote in Relax, Focus, Succeed, 2005, I wrote out what my goal is for my vision, for my life, for my business. And it is true. This is my vision for what I want to do. And it is to inspire success through a balance of serving myself and serving others. So part of what I want to do in this community is to serve you. That if a bunch of people come forward and say, all right, can you please put together a training on whatever, something, I will try to do it. And I'm not an expert on everything by any stretch of the imagination, but I know lots of people. And if you need a training on sales, I can get that done. You need a training on hiring processes, I can get that done. And I want to put together things that are for the people in this community. So a couple days ago, I did a 1-hour presentation on marketing. And that's exactly the kind of thing that I want to do within the community for community members, for people who are helping to ask the questions and say, here's what we need. I want to provide the things that are useful to them, and then have that become part of a forum. Have it become part of a never-ending discussion about marketing, about the specifics of this and that. One of the things I'm going to upload into this community is every single newsletter that I've ever put together for my end user clients. And yeah, some of that's old, but you'd be shocked at how much of that material you can take, replace the name of the old virus with a new virus, and you'll be able to use that in your newsletters. It'll be lots and lots of content that is related to what you're still doing today. But my goal is to help you to be successful. That is, honestly and sincerely, that's what I want to do. And some of you have been on webinars where I've blatantly said, if I could help every one of you make an extra million, that's what I would do. So to that end, Ruben is my web guy, is working hard to build the infrastructure, and he and I have a call later today. Kara is working to upload the actual content. She uploaded about 1.5 gigs yesterday, and she is online literally as we speak right now, uploading more content into the site. We're going to have forums, and I have literally a half dozen of people who have already volunteered to lead special interest group forums to talk about security, to talk about HIPAA, to talk about marketing, to talk about security, right? So we have these people in place. And I also encourage you to volunteer. If you are interested, send me an email, and whether it is to make sure that you're connected to the right forum, or maybe you want to volunteer to be a community leader for one of these forums. I want people to be engaged. I want to do group events, and here's a perfect example of the kind of contest I have in mind. I want to do a training on how you take advantage of Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. And let's just use Twitter as an example. What we do is show people how you find information about creating a good Twitter presence, how to design an entire Twitter page, and the background graphics, and basically how to get it all set up the right way. And for the people who are in that training, we'll then have a competition. Like, go off, find a graphics person, and create a good background, and then we're going to go look at each other's Twitter presence, and we're going to vote on it, and then we'll have some prize for whoever has done the best to improve their Twitter presence. And then the next month we'll do the same thing with LinkedIn, and the next month we'll do something else. But that way, we as a group go through these things. We give each other feedback. We work on it. You get to know people individually. And it improves your business, right? And this is the kind of thing that, we might have done this 10 years ago, but Twitter keeps changing. Facebook keeps changing. LinkedIn keeps changing. So even if you've had a good presence on each of these, how can we improve it? How can we take it to the next level? How can we take advantage of the changes that are coming? Because we live in an ever-changing environment. And so we'll also have trainings by people besides me. And so there's opportunities for people who, if you want to be an up-and-comer and start making presentations, maybe we can provide an audience for you in something like that. And again, I'm not a believer in competition. I believe that people who quote unquote compete with each other can sit together in a meeting and be civilized to each other and grow from each other. I participate fully in helping people get connected to all the right communities. And so I'm interested in inviting them in and having them, they can even talk about their own communities inside this community. Also, meetings of people with special focus. So if you say, well, I want to get together with a bunch of people who right now today are trying to figure out whether or not it makes sense to hire a salesperson. Okay, well, I will facilitate getting you together so that you can have a forum, have a place to do that, and maybe even have the online meeting tools to make that happen. So we're also going to have a break room. So the break room is basically a place where we're going to have places where you can have fun, basically. And I will give you far more details on it when we launch in August. But trust me, the break room is going to be an enjoyable place. And it's going to be a place where people can have some discussions on more of a personal level in addition to the technology and the business side. Now, the main reason I delayed so many years to put together a community is I wanted to get out my 4-book set of SOPs, and I wanted to refresh managed services in a month and service agreements so that those are 2018 content and totally up to spec, because eventually I'm going to put all of my content into this site. I'm going to, again, we're uploading a lot of it now, but we're going to put in every checklist, every form, every Word doc, every PDF, everything that we've ever done with audio recordings, trainings, so forth and so on. It's eventually going to have all of the contents of all of my books in this site. And if we have archived classes, like, for example, I no longer teach the class on Relax, Focus, Succeed. I retired it last year. So I have had Kara upload that entire class. So that's 5 hours of training, a copy of the book, all the associated handouts. All of that is just one piece of the content that's available to you. And so we're going to put all of that content in there. And again, sort of the goal is that you are going to get more than enough value out of just the content. But then when you add the community, you'll get that as well. And, you know, at the end of the day, if you're serious about this business, you have to either make or save about 1 hour a month to pay for it, and a lot less if you get in early. So the thing that's not included, I thought about including the classes, and this is one of the reasons I talked about having multi-tiered approaches, is that, you know, even if I took the classes down from $260 to $200 each, that, you know, I'd still have to charge an extra $200 a month to make it worthwhile. And there's a lot of people who don't need every class and so forth. So the live classes are not included. If I do live events, such as if I do something with Channel Pro, that won't be included. If I do something with TechFest, that won't be included. So the live events are not going to be in this, except if I do a live event, if I come to your city and have a community meeting for the Small Biz Thoughts community, that will be included. So that's kind of the only exception. I just want to make sure everybody knows what's in and out. We do have a number of what I'm calling community leaders who have agreed to run forums. And right now, these are the forums we have so far. So big data, learning about, you know, how to use that in our business as managed service providers. I need somebody on some newer technologies, IoT and so forth. But, you know, if you're looking at finances, or if you want to, you know, assume, you know, you're trying to find RMM tools, that's a never-ending discussion. Or if you've got an RMM tool, but you're trying to figure out whether or not you need a different one, right? We're going to have all those discussions. So I expect the forums to be very busy, and I'm hoping that lots of people will jump in there right away and participate. And yes, you could do this very easily on Facebook. But again, I'm sort of the belief that right now the Facebook is, it's wide, but it's not very deep. And I would like you to have these deep discussions where you can feel that it's inside a community and not something that might get sold on Google someday. So, membership. The standard price that starts in September is going to be $99 a month or $999 for the year. So if you do that annual price, you save about 16%. Basically, you get a couple of months at no additional charge. And so I personally, that's what I think it's worth. That's, I sort of put the price based on if you were going to take all of my content and nothing else, that would be a hell of a price for $1,000. So, but of course you get all the other stuff as well. Now, August is the launch month. And so part of what we're doing is that I'm going to give you an extra 3 months. So you'll get 15 months for the price of 12. And if you buy that, it will be, again, $999 for the 15 months, but that moves your savings up to 33%. In July, I'm doing early bird pricing. You save an extra $100, so it's only $899 for 15 months. So the savings goes up to 39%. And in June, right now, we are doing it for $799, and you get the first year plus the 3 months, a total of 15 months, and that is about a 54% savings. So, or 54% of the total price. So it's a 46% savings. So that's where we're at right now. And this is going to be the pricing. There won't be massive sales on top of this. This is the promotion. So you can see that basically you have until the end of this month to save that extra $100. Goes from $799 to $899, and then in August, $999. I also am going to, we haven't figured out exactly what we're going to use for this, but I'm going to have some what they call gamification. So one of the things is I'm going to have badges for different things. And the first badge, which is only available to people through August 31st, is a founding member badge. And so if you want to be forever labeled in the group as being a founding member of the Small Biz Thoughts community, then it's basically June, July, August is your opportunity to do that. So with that, I will ask if there are any other questions. So here's my contact information is just smallbizthoughts.com. And the blog obviously is blog.smallbizthoughts.com. And I'll go back and forth between this and the previous page if need be. So let's see what questions you have. David asks, is the $799 for the life of the membership or just the first year? So it is just the first year, or the first 15 months in this case. And after that, you'll have the option to either renew for a year or renew at the monthly. So it's totally up to you on that. Other questions? Fair enough. Thank you, David. I appreciate that. Does this make sense? Is this good? I really appreciate any feedback you have. All right. Well, I encourage you all. Oh, Andre, how does that compare with ASCII? I think the pricing, I think ASCII is 120. I don't know for sure. So I know Joshua's on here, and he's a member of ASCII. I think it's probably the same rate for the year, but a little more per month, something like that. So it's in the neighborhood. ASCII has a different approach to forums. They have email lists. And so I kind of like having the threaded archived content personally, but that's just me. Also, I would like to think that what you're going to get here is a little less vendor focus and a little more content, to be honest. Joshua asks, who's leading the various forums? So I am not quite ready to make that announcement, although I think almost everybody will have heard of almost everybody who's leading the forums. These are people who are big names in our community and true community leaders. But I'm hoping to announce that I'm going to do another launch webinar on June 19th in the afternoon so that I can, it'll be morning time in Australia and New Zealand. So we'll go through a similar presentation, slightly different, and talk about the community leaders at that point. David says the ASCII pricing is about the same. Aaron says good stuff. Looks for any marketing tips, tricks, etc. for selling managed services. Yes, we will certainly have that. And he enjoyed my books. Thank you. Thank you. David is in ASCII as well. Yeah, in terms of overlap with ASCII, we are, ASCII has unique events. They're one of the few organizations that has a world-class paid keynote speaker at their events. So I don't anticipate doing that. I don't do events with a vendor hall and all of that. I believe, the events are just night and day, so that's one piece. And I am not doing something that ASCII does. I am not going to be creating long lists of discounts. The reason I belong to ASCII, to be honest with you, is I save thousands of dollars a year by being an ASCII member. I get special ASCII pricing on all kinds of things, and so that membership has a tremendous value simply from my insurance policies and my buying ability with different vendors and so forth. Let's see. ASCII membership is $99 or $9.89 annually. So that's to their main group. Philip says he's looking forward to it and is ready to get started. So I encourage you to sign up today. Andre's an ASCII member. Is this the same Philip? Yes. Philip says he's looking forward to the small groups. John says maybe you could consider renewals at the original price for the membership. So I tell you what, you got a year to convince me of that. The problem is that if I say you lock into that for life, that could be an issue down the road. As a managed service provider, one of the things I encourage is that you have a standard price, and when that price goes up, everybody gets the price increase. It dramatically increases how easy it is to manage. So anyway, but I'm open to that discussion. Like I said, you get 15 months basically. I guess you get a year to convince me. Let's see, Josh. ASCII's working on creating a separate peer group, which will cost separately as well. They're throwing around $99 or $199 a month. So, yeah, so I have done some co-marketing with Josh Peterson and Baring McKinley to do some managed services in a month branded peer groups. That's separate from this, but we are going to have some peer group leaders who are in the forums here and are happy to help people organize. One of the things is I belong to 3 different mastermind groups, 2 primary ones, but basically I belong to mastermind groups that meet once a month and we talk about our business. And the basic format is each person gives 5 minutes of what's new since I saw you last. And then we go around and everybody presents a question or a problem, a challenge that they have. And we spend about 20 minutes giving them advice. And so that format is literally as complicated as what I just described. It is the easiest thing in the world. It doesn't have to cost money. And I'm happy to facilitate people getting together in mastermind groups with other members of the community. One of the things about having a forum up here is that we can have forums that people can go to and, like I said, have a kind of a permanent record of what they're doing. But, also if it's just a matter of finding a place for you to get together and meet other people so that you can go off and and find like-minded people, that's exactly the kind of thing I want to do. Other questions? All righty. Well, thank you to all the people who asked questions or made comments. I certainly appreciate that. I hope that this was, useful use of your time. Josh, do you anticipate in-person group meeting quarterly or so? So I don't necessarily anticipate that, but one of the things that I have considered is I got to figure out, depending on how many members there are, I have to figure out how I can converge my roadshow schedule with in-person meetings. I think that having occasional in-person meetings is a good idea. Again, what I don't want to do is I don't want to compete with Channel Pro or ASCII in terms of events that draw people away from there or draw away those vendor dollars. I want them to have all the vendor dollars. So we might have these meetings, and there's other events that as long as we can make the arrangements, we might associate with other events as well in order to have those in-person meetings. But I know that when groups grow to a certain point, they do want to do something in person to kind of meet all those people that they've only seen online. So I'm open to whatever people want to do down the road. Part of running a community is to say, I'm going to get some stuff started, but then I'm also open to seeing how it goes. Other questions? One of the ideas for forums is also to, have, like I said, a never-ending discussion of something like the Cloud 5 Pack, to just literally have a forum where people put up their ideas or their variations and like, how did you do this? And when this vendor goes to the wayside or becomes too expensive, what was the alternative, that kind of stuff. Anybody else? All righty. Well, here's my information. And if you go to Small Biz Thoughts, you're going to see the, note right at the top to click through to go to look at the community. Andre says, thanks for the books and the information you provide. You're very welcome, and I certainly appreciate you being here. Somebody wants to know what I'm wearing. Okay, enough of that. Aaron wants to know if I'm coming to Kentucky with a roadshow anytime soon. So the closest I'm getting this year is going to be Minneapolis. But I will, one of the cities that I love that I just didn't get to last year, and is kind of on my short list of next cities to get to, is Cincinnati. So not sure what part of Kentucky you're in, but if you're up by Covington or whatever, that might be close. So, and you know what? If I get 10 people who are in Kentucky and beg me to go to Kentucky, well, then we'll see about that. John says, thanks for your help and look forward to joining with the SMB community. Well, thank you, sir. Louisville, did I say that right? Is about an hour away. So, all right. One of my favorite jokes of all time is, how do you pronounce the capital of Kentucky, right? Is it Louisville or Louisville? And the answer is, it's Frankfurt. It's pronounced Frankfurt. So anyway. Have you not heard that before? All right. Thank you all. I'm going to go ahead and put an end to this. I will put the recording up somewhere and put a blog post about it. But I encourage you to go ahead and sign up as soon as you can. I know that especially for people who want to save money, I know that the $7.99 sounds like a big number, but in the long run, it is a very, very serious savings. So Josh has got another joke, which I'm not going to repeat only because I don't want to turn this into 45 minutes of jokes because I have other things to do today. All righty. Thank you all. I'm going to go ahead and put an end to this if there are no other questions. And I will see you online and look for another quick SOP video this afternoon. Thank you all.